Welcome back to Talkin' Shit, where we are talking all sorts of shit. Schitt's Creek, that is. This week we're talking about Season 4, Episode 9, The OIive Branch. And as always, I'm joined by someone who once gifted me an entire briefcase of makeup, Stuart! Stuart, how are you?
Honestly, that kind of would be the thing that I would do because I'm the worst person at giving gifts. I'm really bad.
No.
I don't know what to get people. Like,
So
I kind
a
of feel like
briefcase
most
of
people.
makeup?
Well, I
That's
probably wouldn't
horrible.
get that for you because, like, I know not to like give things that would make people,
Insulted?
self-conscious about stuff.
Uh-huh.
But like, you kind of avoid certain things like that. But yeah, it's kind of in that realm of just bad.
Well, that's brutal and upsetting. And
Yeah.
someone else who's here to also be brutally upset with me is someone who always says, it's a cinch to mash the Murphy where there's love. Trish.
Oh, to be sure.
I don't know. I had to Google things.
Jess, you're gonna
What?
get us cancelled. Like,
Oh, is that a bad thing to say?
no.
Oh, thank God. I was like, I Googled it first to make sure. Oh my gosh. No, that's an Irish saying. Trish is an Irish. We all know she's
Yeah.
Scottish. And so she's here to defend her country from Moira's harsh accusations. Right, Trish?
Oh, yeah. Deeply offended. Deeply offended.
We're so happy you're back and couldn't be a more appropriate episode to have you on, Trish, to talk about this week's episode.
Yeah, it was just coincidental, actually, because it was another moment that I chose this for. And then when I was watching it and Moira comes out with that phrase, I was like, oh, even better. There we go. It was like a representation and justification for my nation. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Stuart, you've now seen the second Simply the Best moment on the show where David lip syncs to Patrick. And I'm so excited that you've now seen this too, because I feel like beyond the first original Patrick Simply the Best moment, I was really nervous that because you saw that, then you would be fine with like looking at like GIFs or something that were Simply the Best Schitt's Creek, and that you would get spoiled on this moment because it is kind of another big moment for them as a couple.
Yeah, I didn't think that it would come about as soon as it did. I was expecting it to be like a payoff that maybe comes like a season down the line or something like that. But I'm glad it's come, and I understand it now. But yeah, thankfully wasn't spoiled on it, which is again my biggest worry because the gifts are everywhere. And I really want to use the gifts because they're the best gifts. And I'm a millennial. I talk in gifts. It's how I communicate with people. It's how I show outrage and everything that there is to show. And of course, so I have to be really specific with the references that I now search on, because before I used to use them really indiscriminately because I didn't really care about spoilers because nothing was really kind of like getting in. And now I have to be like, no, I have to Google that one thing that came up in season 2 that's a specific quote that I'm referencing, or I have to roll the dice and just hope and pray, which is really bad. And the more we get along this, the more I'm not like, or the less I'm doing it, because I really don't want to get spoiled at this point.
I think there's only like 2 or 3 things that I would be like really upset if you were spoiled on prior to them happening at this point. We're pretty far down the line. I'm not going to tell you. We're pretty far down the line in Schitt's Creek at this point. So there's not a ton of references that, I could make that, I would be upset that you would be spoiled on. But let's talk about the OIive Branch. And before we do, don't want to forget, everyone, go subscribe, follow us on social media at Talkin' Shit, and make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We're still trying to get to 200 subscribers. Trish had proposed an idea today that if because we know we are going to give the listeners and the viewers, I suppose, on YouTube something if we get to 200 subscribers, and Trish had suggested that we do our makeup like Stevie does this episode, which isn't waterboarding, so I suppose it is eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's up there though.
You mean more than
Stevie
200 subscribers?
I would think that she knows how to put her makeup on, and she was doing that on deliberately.
Oh, certainly. No one just puts on blue eyeshadow because they feel like it,
My teachers used to.
Ugh. Ugh. That's a look. That's
Uh,
grim. So yeah, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. But let's jump into a little bit of a recap of what happened in this episode in case you forgot. This week on Schitt's Creek, everyone is fighting for the disgruntled Pelican Point. So let's dive in. It's been a week since David said he needed space from Patrick, and Patrick has been showering David with apology gifts. David has enjoyed them so much that he's put off reconciling for a few days, and when he decides that he is ready, Patrick is the one that's backing off. Patrick finds out David was holding out on making up with him just to receive more gifts, but they finally make up when David gives the best olive branch ever by lip syncing to Simply the Best for Patrick. And we all died because it's so cute. Meanwhile, Alexis apparently got her associate's degree in 4 months, which Canada, I have questions. How does this work? She's now started her own business, Alexis Rose Communications, and has a business proposal for town council, a singles night at the cafe. Moira is unimpressed, but the rest of the town council loves the idea that Moira takes credit for and then hires Alexis for. So, Moira, I'm looking at you. This is so mean. Johnny tries. He really tries. He really tries.
Does he?
He gives Stevie an employee of the month gift, which is an entire briefcase of makeup. And Stevie rightly takes offense until Alexis tells her Johnny is just a notoriously bad gift giver. Stevie decides to show him just how wrong he was by slathering her face in makeup. And thankfully, Johnny gets the hint. And that was our episode, Stuart.
Oh, I mean, Johnny. I'm gonna go to him straight away because I kind of feel like every time that Johnny does anything bad now, I feel like I have to address it immediately to get it out of the way so I don't obsess on it and I don't get labeled as a Johnny hater. But Johnny, buddy, like I'm really bad at giving gifts, but that was a choice. That was a full suitcase of makeup, right?
I feel like, Trish, this is what I think happened. I picture Johnny walks into like a Macy's or something, right? Like some sort of a department store. Johnny walks in and he's like, he goes up to the counter and he asks like a 65-year-old woman, hey, I'm buying a gift for a mid-20s woman. What should I get her? And this woman, who probably works off commission, is like,
Yeah.
here you go. This briefcase of makeup is all she'll need. So I do, because he says the woman at the store told me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where he's taking his cues from.
The woman at the store saw Johnny a mile off and is just like in his sharp suit and is like, okay, I can get him to get one of these things off of the shelf that no one is buying because no one ever buys a suitcase of makeup for themselves. It is something that you would buy as a gift for someone else. You think, oh, they like makeup, I'll buy this for them. It's like, I think in my lifetime, there's been one person that I know that has requested makeup of that quantity.
Yeah.
Not a drag queen, but almost.
Yeah, normal people don't buy their makeup in bulk like this.
No.
And beyond that, I guess where I would really come down on Johnny is more so that like he knows Stevie better than the woman at the counter does. And you'd think he'd recognize that like Stevie generally doesn't wear much makeup. Like if he bought this for Alexis, I think it would even make more sense because he's like, Alexis likes makeup. Here's a suitcase of makeup. Instead of Stevie, who really doesn't wear a ton of makeup, which maybe he's like, that means she needs makeup. She doesn't already own it. I don't know. It's a terrible choice. However, I will defend Johnny when I say that, like, at the very least, he got the hint when she slathered her face in it and was like, I'm going to go to Bazonga's, the gentleman's club. He's like, oh, okay, you know what? Now I get it. And he admits he knows he's a bad gift giver, which I guess maybe that's a catch-22 then, Stuart, because I would be like, well, if you know you're a bad gift giver, why did you not employ the help of like David or Alexis in giving Stevie a gift?
Yeah, it would have made sense to have like gone to the kids and to like ask them instead of just some random woman at the counter that saw him coming a mile off. But then you kind of want to keep things a surprise. Probably it might have been a spur of the moment thing while he was out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he just had this like sudden idea. Maybe he felt a pang of guilt after buying himself a round of golf. Was it that he got himself last month? Cheeky get. Like, he kept
No,
that
I
under
think he said
wraps.
It was a
he
dinner.
got him lunch or something.
That
Yeah, he
was
got
it.
him some
Yeah, he took
lunch.
himself out for
Yeah.
lunch. But like kept that quiet. So like if I have got I'm headcanon into myself that like this was a guilt thing where he's gone, should probably get Stevie something. And has just gone straight to the counter and asked and hasn't had the foresight to really like involve the kids in the whole process, which is where his downfall is. I mean, if he'd asked David, I imagine, is an excellent gift giver. Alexis, probably an excellent gift giver. Although I imagine perhaps her budget would be quite higher than what Johnny was proposing to spend.
I
But
think so.
yeah, I mean, it would have been the smart thing to do. And I can't put him down for the gesture. The gesture is lovely. And because I'm awarding someone Employee Month, it's such a like.
I wish he didn't call it that. I think that's my problem with it. Because Stevie owns the motel.
Exactly.
Yes, Johnny seems to. We don't know what papers they've drawn up. We don't know what their arrangement exactly is. But it does feel a little like, I don't know if condescending is the word, but like to call her an employee when like they seem to be at the same level. I wish he would have just said, I want to reward you for like all your hard work lately. Like, I don't think he
Yeah.
needed to label it in a specific way. And there's a reason that like most employers just give out like gift cards because they're universally liked and appreciated. Like, even a gift card to like the cafe or something, like something local would also suffice. I understand him wanting to personalize it. I'm not trying to get too down on him because I do think this is a valiant effort from him. But I think, Trish, my favorite thing to come out of this entire storyline is the story of David being gifted a basketball court for his bar mitzvah.
Yeah, that came down the very next day. I mean, how much cost was involved in that? It's just the fact of how disposable their income was before compared to what it is now. And it's just the imagination. I wonder, as I said, until it hit the rim and bounced back. It's like, how many attempts was there before you even got close to the hoop at all?
Yeah.
It's like
it had to be bad. It had to be so bad. And then he ended up getting the nose job, which is actually what he wanted anyway. So all's well that ends well, I suppose.
Yeah, bar mitzvahs are not such a big thing in my knowledge. So I was like, how old would this person be when they're having their bar mitzvah?
I think they're about 12 or 13, to my recollection.
Early teens, I think, yeah. It's like becoming a man typically in the whole like kind of tradition, right? Isn't it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If my memory of Hey Arnold is a thing.
It's true. It is true. It's like when a Jewish man is like becomes a man essentially, and then a bat mitzvah is for a woman or a girl. But yeah, I think they're bigger deals in like the New York, New Jersey area, to my knowledge. Like, I don't know about the rest of the country. I just know that like it is a big thing. Like my co-host on Schitt 90 shows taught me, she had a bat mitzvah. It was like Harry Potter themed. It was like huge. Like, it's this big
Harry
thing.
Potter themed?
Don't get me started, Stuart. Don't. She's not here, so I can't.
She can't defend herself.
Yeah, she didn't know at the time.
We'll add her in the show notes, and she'll have no reason why.
And so yeah, like I do think I want to appreciate that Johnny really is like putting forth this effort, and I also feel like he constantly is like putting himself out there to bond more with Stevie in a way that I really appreciate, because obviously Stevie can be a little bit of a prickly pear and not like the easiest to bond with. So I just love, and also, I don't know, something, Stuart, that we complained about a lot in, I don't know, I think it was season 2. Was it season 3? I don't know. It doesn't matter anymore. Stevie was like not really around a ton. And I feel like she was involved in 2 storylines this week. Like, that's exciting. No, 3. She was in Alexis's too. So she's in 3 storylines this week.
Steve's
and last week as well, she was there as well. So it's definitely she's getting more airtime, which is great.
And I think it's great as well as we're not losing the David and Stevie of it all as well, because we were saying about like kind of maybe she could be like a side character that kind of supports everyone, and she can be there for other members of the cast, like the primary kind of 4. But I was worried that if that were to happen, then we would lose out on David and Stevie moments. But I think we've just been getting more of them. And I think it's all about this kind of like way in which they've been really carefully kind of considering the time and who they bring into certain episodes. Like they've not been shoehorning in people for like side stories just to kind of get everyone in. Like we didn't get any Jocelyn in this episode. We didn't get any Ted. Haven't had Ted for a while and stuff. And it's like, because they're choosing when to kind of highlight people and kind of throw them into certain scenarios. And for Stevie to get more of a shine and like have bigger moments in episodes, I'm all for it. This is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the storyline. I think that it works really well because I love getting to see Johnny and Stevie bounce off one another. Stevie's smile when Johnny gives her that briefcase of makeup is so funny. It is hysterical.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the funniest Stevie moments I've seen in a while. I loved it so much. So I like this storyline, especially because Johnny does learn, right? Like he's like, I'm getting flashbacks to David trying to score 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, his heart's definitely in the right place. And like Alexis says, like, sweetest little guy. So he's just like, definitely wants to sort of like show Stevie his appreciation of her, but he just doesn't know how to do it. And all he's got is the experience of when he was like an upper manager and never got any sort of thing. It's like, what do you do for your employees? You do employee of the month. It motivates them. But when there's only, well, do you count Roland as an employee? He's kind of,
I guess there's
sort
3 of them.
Yeah.
But also, Trish, you bring up a really great point about him being very high up in the hierarchy. He probably had an administrative assistant who was buying gifts for other people back when he had Rose Video.
Yeah.
He wasn't the one doing it. And I have to imagine anytime like he bought something for someone else, either his administrative assistant or Moira or someone else was involved, like it'd be rare that he was the sole person responsible for buying someone else a gift. Sometimes people just aren't very good at buying gifts, and he tries, so bless him.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump on Johnny for being a bad gift giver because I'm the same. Terrible at it. Every time it comes to like Christmas periods, I genuinely have fantasies of like being super rich and having an assistant that I can go out and just be like, please, just research them and suggest a gift. Here's a budget, go for it. If anyone wants to nominate themselves for that service, I would gladly pay you. Like, I'm not even joking.
I would love to help with that.
To so much.
I'm a pretty good gift giver.
I think I'm an excellent gift giver.
Marvelous.
I'm not even trying to brag.
There we go.
Once I get the idea for it, like then I get like really excited. My biggest problem is, and this is a problem both me and my husband suffer with, is that once we have the gift in hand, like let's pretend it's like Christmas is coming up. It's like December 10th and I already have the gift. I so badly just want to give it. I can't hold on to it. It's already here and it's ready to be given.
Yeah.
So I'm not great at that part.
My other half is exactly the same. He cannot stop himself from giving presents as soon as he's got them and ready to give. He just wants to give them straight away. Yeah. And I'm like, no, go away. I do not want to see that because it's a disappointment when you get to the day and then you've got nothing. You have
nothing. Yeah.
Because it's like, no, I want the surprise. I like the gift on the right occasion.
Yeah.
Are you both like that with Christmas like food? Whenever you buy like the food that leads up to like Christmas Day, are you really protective over like, no, those can't be opened until Christmas Day? Because my mom was militant with that stuff.
Like, what food are you waiting till Christmas Day to open?
Like stupid things, like even like something like silly as Pringles or something. She'd be like, no, those are for Christmas. And we were like, Mum, we're not going to eat Pringles on Christmas Day. And she'd be like, no, you can't open them. And so we'd be there just going, what are we meant to do? It's just taunting us.
That's so funny. No, we didn't have that. I will say, like, because I think Halloween is more of a candy based holiday, right? Like my mom, I doubt she's listening to this, but if she is, oh well, jig is up.
Hi.
She would always hide the Halloween candy in a specific drawer in an armoire in their room. And we all knew which drawer it was in. So occasionally you'd like sneak in and grab one. But the worst problem was she would have to hide it from my dad. My dad was the worst offender. He would eat all the candy way before Halloween. One year he wanted to be the house that gave out the full-size candy bars. So I think he went to like sort of like a Costco BJ's sort of place and bought them in bulk, but he bought them way too early. So half of them were gone by the time Halloween came around. Like there was no way they were. My entire family is filled with sweet tooths. Like you just can't. Sweet teeth. You can't stop us. If there's candy, we gonna eat it.
Yeah, guilty. I can't. I'm really bad at that. It's like my children are really good most of the time at like limiting how much they have a day and stuff. But if I haven't any of my own chocolates and there's chocolate sitting there, it's such an effort for me to be like, no, it's not mine. I can't touch it.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
I feel
bad.
like that's a benefit of having kids, is that you get to eat some of their candy. Like they owe you. You birthed them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. It's like, oh no, I'm saving you for this one. You wouldn't like this one.
Exactly. That's what you yes. Yep. Oh, you're allergic. Oopsies.
Oh yeah. You can't have this one. It's got bad stuff in it.
Does that explain why my mum would always say everything had licorice in? Because I hate licorice.
Yeah.
And suddenly I'm just remembering all these flashbacks of no, it's got licorice in. I'm like, oh damn it.
All right. Well, let's talk about Alexis here, because again, I don't know how she got her associate's degree in 4 months, but let's pretend that that's not
It's
insane.
marketing. I mean, I'm not just going to throw shade at industries, but I mean,
wow.
Just emailing and coloring in, like, leave me be.
First, I piss off people by saying that no one likes to hike, and now you're just shitting on marketing. Everyone's going to stop listening. Yeah, so she started her own business, Alexis Rose Communications, and she has a business proposal. And I thought this was great because Trish, and you could easily see Alexis being like, "Oh, I have my own business now," and then like does nothing with it. But her first day that she has the business, she makes a business proposal for like a legitimate grant that is happening in town. This is huge.
Yeah, good on Alexis. I think it's brilliant that the fact that it can be so easy to just go, oh yeah, I've got that, now what to do? And then just start sort of studying, kind of doing what Johnny did, thinking about things that he could have done instead. But she was like, no, I'm going to get on this. There's this happening. I'm going to make a proposal. I'm going to show it to my mum and hopefully get myself a little bit of an extra leeway. And Moira, I don't think, Moira's reaction to that, I was just like, that is not supportive mum. That is not what you're supposed to be doing. It's just, it was a little bit kind of like, Moira has her own idea. She wants that ahead. And nope, Alexis is like, you'll get your chance later. This is my turn. And it's just, I just felt so bad for Alexis in that moment, for the fact that she's going to her mum. It's her new thing. It's her first thing. And it's being kind of shot down a little bit.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Like, I understand Moira has her own proposal that she wants, the council to take on. But at the very least, like, you don't have to, like, crap on Alexis's proposal, especially when it's pretty good. And it's doable, Moira. That's the more important aspect, is that it's doable. Your proposal is, like, bringing in all these artists I've never heard of to have some sort of a sculpture thing or something. Honestly, I didn't even understand what Moira was talking about because I couldn't understand half the stuff she was saying. And speaking of, Stuart, we have to talk about this apparently famous Irish saying. It's a cinch to match the Murphy where there's love, which I Googled because I couldn't help myself and I wanted to know. So a person who was Irish said, yeah, no, that's not a saying. And then another person said, apparently there's an Irish proverb that says it's easy to half the potato where there's love. And Murphy is a word for potato in Ireland.
I've never heard of it.
I'm glad you're not. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah, I Googled it as well. Never heard of it before. And I think I got that same message of someone going, nope, never heard of it. What? I think if you're going to say that, like, a Murphy's potato and stuff, and, like, I think that's really trying to, like, get a meaning out of it. It's just Moira. talking
But what
absolute
does the
garbage.
original Irish proverb even mean? It's easy to have the potato where there's love. Does that mean, oh, you're more willing to give up half of a potato because you love someone? Is that what it is?
I think it's easier to
Sounds about
share.
right.
It's
Yeah.
easier to share if you love someone.
Yeah.
Moira, maybe you should be listening to this message then and share Alexis's idea because you love her.
Maybe just not steal the potato altogether. Like, that's Alexis's potato. Alexis can share it if she wishes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is, Moira's, it's so tough because we ended last season with Moira doing such a wonderful gesture. And we were always saying that it takes Moira just a bit of time to like get rolling when it comes to like the motherly role of things. Like she has to, I think, see the error of her ways and then course correct a little bit. And this threw that progress out of the window, burned it on fire, stamped all over it. Like it was just, this is Moira returning back to like old selfish Moira. And I could understand if Moira's idea was half good, but you're not going to get a von Schlegel. Like everyone knows that, right?
You're saying this like you know anything that she was talking about, and I know you
so
don't.
was Roland.
Yeah.
Like, you think Roland knew?
He says he's a
I did love that he joined in though. The closing his eyes and looking.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute. I was like, well done, Roland, for joining in and being the yes and.
Oh my God, I've just looked up. David von Schlegel is actually an American artist and sculptor. Moira is not chatting absolute rubbish.
I believed it was. Like, I believed the people she was saying were real.
Like,
I mean, they're not like Picasso, so I wouldn't know them, but
I'm so uncultured. How does
I'm
Roland
very
know
uncultured.
about this?
I don't know anything.
I just was wondering about the area. Where would this park go?
Exactly. These acres. It was like hundreds of acres that she was talking about, right?
Yeah. She said a picture 300 to 500 acres. I don't know where. That's a lot of acreage. I don't know where she's finding that.
Of carefully manicured lawn as well. She's not even considering the costs of the groundskeeping in this.
Of course she's not. She's not.
I love that for this grant. Like Alexis is shot down for having a singles night in the cafe. Like, what have they really got to pay for in that? A liquor license, a couple of balloons, maybe some printouts.
Yeah.
Maybe some food. Yeah. But you can like charge
ahead. Yeah.
Like, it pays for itself eventually. Like it's just upfront cash that you're kind of giving away for a bit. And yet Moira's like, no, that's rubbish. We're going to have 300 to 500 acres and sculptures by these like significant sculpture artists. It's just, Moira's
it's unhinged.
It's so unhinged. It's so Moira unhinged.
In the most Moira way. But the thing I liked is when I Googled when I was Googling the cinched meth, the Murphy situation, I found out apparently that this matchmaking festival is a thing in Ireland. It's in a place called Lisdoonvarna, and I so apologize if that's not how to pronounce it.
I hardly know
her. It does go back generations, and they've launched an LGBTQIA version of it, which is so nice. So yeah, this actually does exist, but I loved, especially because you're here, Trish, I loved Moira misattributing this to a small town in Scotland, no bigger than a thimble.
Yeah.
That's awful. Trish, how infamously disorganized are the Scots?
Oh, well. The thing is, you see, as a Scot, I am allowed to insult fellow Scots. It's what stand-up Scottish comics have been doing for generations. So it is a well-established thing. But you cannot be outside of Scotland and slag us off like that. I'm sorry, but it's just not acceptable. No. And yes, well, maybe a little bit disorganized, but we can throw a party. We can throw a heel.
Throw a heel?
A ceilidh, sorry. I said it wrong. Throw a ceilidh and have a party. And then just a hoolie.
Is this a big party? Is that what a ceilidh is?
Yeah, a ceilidh's like, it's usually fiddles and like
a bash.
Country dancing.
Yeah, think of it like a barn dance kind of thing. A hoedown,
yeah, but Scottish country dancing, which is a little bit different than a hoedown.
Like a barn burner. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm on, I got it. I'm there now.
Mhm.
Uh,
I wonder if
yeah.
the insulting, like the Scots, like comes from a thing of like the very North American thing of like I've got like a quarter Scottish in me,
Oh,
so
it
therefore I'm
definitely is.
Scottish, like much
Probably.
like
The
Irish. Like I once looked at an Irish
Kiss
flag,
me, I'm
therefore I can celebrate.
Irish.
Yeah.
Everyone in America is Irish on St. Patrick's Day. It's ridiculous. Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
kiss me, I'm Irish shirt's like, I'm Irish. Like, but in that I'm white and my ancestors are from Europe, you know? Like, I'm not really Irish. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's exactly what it is. Everyone feels entitled to do that, especially if they're part XYZ.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was just I wasn't expecting Moira Rose to come for me like that at all.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
best thing about Moira. You never do. Like
You
she
never
just
know, you
comes out
never
of nowhere.
expect it. Yeah.
if it's any consolation, Ronnie looked just simply annoyed this entire town council meeting in a way that I
She had to
loved.
prepare herself for Moira's absolute buffoonery. She was like, "All right, here we go."
Let
Like
me sit back
leant
and
back.
sigh. Yeah.
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 Ronnie's like acting without actually saying anything is always brilliant because whenever you see a scene with her there in the background, it's just always perfect. She's just always in
Mhm.
that moment, and you just know it's like, oh, here we go. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, she's just perfect.
Yeah. Anything else on Moira and Alexis? Alexis is going to be involved in this because they like singles week so much. So now instead of a night, Alexis is being roped in to help out on a singles week. And Stuart, you seem to understand this reference that I didn't. Moira says something like a Lorna something or other mother daughter pair. I had
Judy and
no idea what
Lorna.
the hell.
So
Yeah, who was
I
she
looked
talking
it up.
about?
So she's talking about Judy Garland and her other daughter called Lorna, who is not Liza Minnelli. Because, of course, the natural kind of partnership with Judy and Liza, right? But, of course, Moira being Moira has to make the more obscure reference. I looked it
Ah,
up
okay.
afterwards and was cracking up when I came to realize it because I was like, it's just little things like that just make the writing of this brilliant because of course Moira would make the more obscure reference to like and not go obvious with Judy and Liza. But
Mm-hmm.
teaming up, their little mother daughter thing coming out of it could be a good kind of spin on this. Like brings them together. Also,
True. If she didn't
single.
steal Alexis's idea and sell it as her own.
Yeah, I mean maybe that will kind of harbor some stuff, but I don't
And
know.
then try to say that, oh, it's a different idea. The
Well, I mean
audacity.
technically it is. It's a week rather than a night.
I prefer to be called independents, not singles.
Yeah,
You're a
that's
monster,
derogatory.
Moira. Oh my gosh.
But something good could come of this. Like
Yeah, there's
Ted,
potential.
like new Ted, like Ted replacement,
New
maybe.
Ted.
Ted
Yeah. Oh,
2.0.
yeah. Miguel, one that
Stop it. Miguel can get out of here. He's not invited to singles week. Sucks.
it could work out.
Well, someone who doesn't need singles week anymore, David and Patrick. I I have a little spicy take here. I feel like Patrick should know better than to get David a gift like every single day that they've broken up. Like imagine if you actually did want space from someone, getting a gift every single day. That's like too much and he should know David is going to like want all these gifts and maybe possibly delay a rekindling because of it. Like just know your audience, you know? Come on. Come on.
I guess, but then equally, like Patrick's upset. This is like his first, I think, like because I mean he was really unsure about Rachel, so there was never the sense that like he had really kind of committed despite proposing. Whether or not
Mhm.
that actually happened or not, I don't know. Like whether it was one that Rachel like got him to like kind of like pressurize him like to do it or something like that. But like Patrick's got the real sense that like this is a legit thing, and I think that fear of losing it maybe is making him act a little irrationally. So I can give him a pass for that, maybe. But it is like it is still David. David's gonna David, so you can't really
Yeah.
stop that. But I mean, it's on David for like David should communicate back, and like David has been communicating back. So like I wonder if maybe he knows that David doesn't necessarily want space because David has told him that me and Steve were going to go away to a hotel and stuff like that because he knew where to send the gift. So it's not like lines of communication are completely dead. I think the gifts are like the things to like he's hoping is going to like just tip it over and like get it back onto like course. So I don't blame him too much, but equally, it's a dumb move, right? It's David. Like you can't take the David out of it.
But he did realize.
Yeah, David comes to his senses, right? He says like, "Oh, I am going to make up with Patrick today. Like, but if you do see a gift for me, like keep it safe. But I am going to I'm going to make up with him right now." And unfortunately, Patrick, is the first to speak and says, "No, you need your space. Let's focus on the business." It's so painfully awkward, them having to like work together and like try to avoid each other, but also they're working literally next to each other. It's so awkward. And Trish, I love the scene where David finally admits that, like, well, I just really liked the gifts you were giving me. He's like so shameful, but he's also laughing because he knows it's ridiculous, but also he loved all the gifts so much. And obviously Patrick's tastes have improved because he liked the gifts he got.
Well, yeah, I think so too. I also love that scene because it looks like both of them are on the brink of just collapsing into giggles every 5 minutes. And it feels like such a natural sort of conversation between the two people as well. It doesn't really feel like you're watching a show. Looks like you're just watching two people having a chat and actually enjoying each other's company. And I just think Patrick in that moment is just like the realization of like, wait, you were delaying getting back together because you were getting gifts. Oh no, I'm not going to let you get away with this. And it's just like, and the face grab is just like, oh, so hot. But
Patrick in that blue shirt, every time he wears blue, I just want to die. I just love it so much. I just can't. There's something about him, and he always has that like top button unbuttoned. It's just like, stop it, Patrick, stop it.
And he's
right
melty
now.
brown eyes and everything. It's
oh,
just like,
love him so much.
I'm only shaking my head right now because Jess has been filling my DMs with this for like the last week, just all caps. When he wears blue. Oh, yeah. He's so hot.
There's the thing about the blue. He looks so good in blue.
He always wears blue.
Exactly, because he looks so good in it. And I love him throwing it right back at David and being like, okay, well, let's start with like you buying me dinner and X, Y, and Z. And we have to talk about the lip sync moment. It's like, it's so brilliant. It is like such a brilliant thing to have the character of David perform a lip sync to the more upbeat version, like the original version of Simply the Best, which Patrick obviously performed earlier in the season. I did a little bit of reading. I know, Stuart, you were saying like you were curious why, like how was it that he chose this song, Dan Levy? And Dan Levy says he considers it to be one of the most beautifully written pop songs in history. And a lot of people just like don't see how profound the lyrics are. But also like in terms of the karaoke, like the lip sync itself, it's definitely David putting himself out there. Normally, he would not be someone who would be like dancing and lip syncing in public where people could theoretically walk by the store and see him at any moment. He's really putting himself out there and making himself uncomfortable to show Patrick how much he means to him. And I love that he's doing it with the exact same song with a little bit of a, upbeat flair.
Yeah, it's such a nice way of like saying, okay, well, you made such a lovely gesture. I'm going to return that gesture back towards you, but I'm going to do it while also embarrassing myself and like falling on my sword a little bit, like because their relationship has been defined by a little bit of like teasing and like joking at each other's expense. Like Patrick has been pushing David's buttons all the time, like the plungers, like even the frame without even realizing it. Like it's just constantly been this like little bit of just nipping at each other and just being like kind of just pushing them in that kind of sense. And so for David to willingly embarrass himself and be cringy and but do it in a completely unashamed way is such a lovely gesture, because it's like, look what I'm willing to overcome to make up for this slight indiscretion. And really, at this point, it is something really small, because the moment, I think, like, even the way David reveals to Patrick about the gifts, he's like playing and laughing. And I think I agree with Trish, is that like Dan Levy was 100% cracking up in that scene. There's no way that they weren't cutting around them like corpsing left and right, because it was. I think the whole cast seemed to have the giggles this entire episode. It seemed at the very least.
Yeah, the pubic relations, I think every actor was breaking in that scene.
So funny. So
Mhm.
good. And I love it when they kind of do just roll with it. And it's a testament to like how well this cast is getting to know each other. And obviously, like, you've got Catherine, Eugene, and Dan, who must know each other kind of really well. But then to bring Annie Murphy into the kind of mix, and for them to just kind of roll with it, and Annie Murphy to be the one that's not like kind of laughing and being the professional, is just hilarious in that kind of moment. But to add into like Patrick and David, and to have David like laughing, there was this whole dynamic of like, it's already forgiven. Like they know it's forgiven, and that they're just going to go through this because it's kind of, it's almost like an excuse to show love, and they take it rather than just kind of glossing over it. And I think that's the most beautiful part of it. It's just, it makes me really mushy, and I hate it because I don't like being really mushy, but it's like really mushy.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah, and Trish, I know we talked about like the fact that it's supposed to be a little cringy. Like it's supposed to be a little awkward, because and I was reading another article that came out in Entertainment Weekly around the time that the episode aired, talking about how David's just not a romantic person. That's not who he is. And so to have him do this performance, it's he's really putting himself out there. And I love Dan Levy saying, like, I'm not a dancer. I'm not really a performer. Like, I feel awkward about this. I feel like unsafe doing it. It's out of my comfort zone. And so apparently him and Noah Reed, who plays Patrick, downed a bottle of Prosecco before they filmed the scene, which I thought was just so funny. And apparently, like, that most of the clips from the shot are in the very first take. And he thought he had done something wrong because like so much of the crew was crying. But so he thought like, no, it's supposed to be like funny. It's supposed to be, comedic. But I think it works perfectly as both. Like, yes, it's kind of funny, in that, David is dancing and singing to Simply the Best in a very dramatic fashion, like RuPaul's Drag Race style. But also it's like very sweet, and no one David has ever dated in his past history would either do this for him, nor would he have done this for them. So it just goes to show like how much he cares about Patrick.
Yeah, I think he's showing his vulnerability, showing that he's willing to be vulnerable in front of Patrick. And it's definitely a moment where I think it's one of the fastest ways he could have shown how sorry he was, in that sort of way of like, I'm going to embarrass myself in front of you for you, and to prove to you how much that I want to be back together and how sorry I am, and trying to make it up to you. And I just thought it was just such a wonderful moment. It is a little bit cringe, that kind of performing in front of another person like that. I think it's a British thing as well. It's just like no, don't make a spectacle of yourself. It's just not done. But it's I loved it. I think the first time I watched it, it was a bit of a completely out of the script of, what's this? It just sort of comes out of nowhere completely, like having the actual track on and stuff like that. Yeah. But then the more often you watch it, the more you're like, oh, it's this moment, and you get all excited to watch it again and again. It's lovely.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's everything this show is, which is, yes, maybe they delayed Patrick and David rekindling by what, like an episode? This wasn't a season-long arc. This wasn't even half of the season long. Like, they didn't, and then David holds out because he wants gifts, and then we have another episode, and now Patrick is mad at David. Like, a show could do that, but I'm happy the show doesn't, because these two love each other. And, like, of course they're gonna make up, and of course it's gonna be in like this very silly, like teasing way, because that's what their relationship has been built off of to start, you know? It just fits those two so perfectly. And to have it be like public facing in that they're in the store and theoretically someone could walk right by. I'm so happy it's also just the two of them and that it is this more like private moment because Stuart, I think while Patrick is much more likely to declare his love for David to the world with an anniversary cookie or performing at open mic night, David is someone who only wants to do this for Patrick. He doesn't want
Mhm.
necessarily like this massive audience.
Yeah, it's fine for there to be the risk of others watching, but it's for Patrick and Patrick only. And I think for me, like my favorite thing about the whole like kind of endeavor is the fact that David is completely kind of making an ass of himself and performing like for Patrick, but Patrick is not cringing. It's just there. It's comfortable, almost goes along with it towards the end. Like is a bit kind of perplexed at the beginning, and then by the end of it, is like playing along. And it at no point does it come across as I'm not angry. Like I'm angry about what you're doing right now. I'm still holding a grudge. Like forgiven. It's like it was forgiven immediately, and this is just like Patrick's just appreciating David going out on a limb, and yeah, it's just lovely.
I love it so much. There's a reason
hate
that
that.
people ship them so much, and
Yeah.
it's because of stuff like this. Because it's like it's very cute, but not in like such an over the top mushy gushy way, which is the kind of romance I prefer to watch. I'm never one who's like, yeah, give me the people who are like declaring their love for each other over and over again. Like, stop it. It's too much. Maybe I am British. Maybe that's where that comes from.
Maybe.
Just saying. I'm British. See? That's
Don't
what
you know?
Americans do.
I was waiting. I was like, if you don't reference it, I was going to cut that into the edit of this podcast.
Just to troll me. All right. Anything else before we jump into some feedback we got for this episode? All right, let's do it. Oh, Gus, go ahead, Stuart.
The only thing I was going to like make reference to, and we talked about it before, was just obviously the printer at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
And the pubic relation. Just the delivery of pubic from Dan Levy was just too funny for some reason. And I think like that's probably like set off the whole thing. But I have to give props to Annie Murphy. Just I know how to like articulate what noise it was she was making. It was just like a frustrated, just like
definitely
so
very
funny.
It's that sibling noise of like, stop it! You are annoying me in front of mom and dad. It's sort of like, yeah.
It's just iconic. So good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into some feedback from Emily. She says, Johnny is not starting this episode off well. The only reason I'm not more mad at David for taking advantage of Patrick's gift giving is because I know Patrick is more than capable of handling him, but that was still bad behavior. And she says, man, it was really a race to the bottom with all the bad behavior from 3 of the 4 roses. Will be interesting to see who gets the disgruntled pelican points for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So true. We also got an email from Scott. If you guys were surprised by how good Eugene Levy's singing voice is, I implore you to go watch A Mighty Wind. It's all the usual Christopher Guest players as folk singers, and it's one of my all-time favorites. All the songs are originals for the movie, and several of them are legitimately good, in my opinion anyway. Love the show and love you both, Scott. Stuart, you sent me a screen grab from, or I don't know if it was a poster. I don't know what
trailer.
it was. Was it the trailer that you sent me? And immediately I was like, I need no more information. I'm automatically signed on to this. It looks incredible.
Yeah, it's. I looked it up. I hadn't even heard about this film beforehand, and it does make me want to go through and just search all of the IMDb things of like what we could find with Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, because it's like Best in Show but music instead of dogs, and I'm like I'm here for that because Best in Show is incredible. We reviewed it over at Shit 90 Shows. I say we reviewed it. We recapped it.
We just talked
shit about it for about an hour. Yeah,
exactly.
it was fun. But yeah, that as as a film is amazing. So this looks just as good. So yeah, I'm looking forward to looking this up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch it.
Yeah.
All right. It's time. It's time to rate the characters. And this is a tough one, mostly because so many people should be getting a disgruntled Pelican point. But let's start off on a happy note. Let's do our Simply the Best MVP score first. Stuart, who was simply the best for you this episode?
I am going to say, if both of you disagree with this, if you say for anyone else, I'm going to be outraged.
Okay.
Because the best person in this episode was hands down the only one who got a degree in 4 months. Alexis Rose is 100% my pick. She makes a great business plan. She looked outrageous in this episode. Alexis Rose, who gave you permission? But also is an absolute business whiz and really it's in marketing, so we'll give a pass. But yeah, she's like a boss bitch, even if she is printing out BuzzFeed quotes on how to be,
boss bitches under 30.
Yeah, I can't be dealing with that. Good. But yeah, other than that, this was Alexis' episode for me.
Trish, what do you think?
Yes, I have to agree with my fellow European. Alexis is just the fact that she just, as well, when she gets disgruntled with her mum about the fact that she takes her idea but gets employed, she's like, well, I'm going to charge you my full fee. And it's just like, yes, you go, you do that and get yourself this proper job. And it's just well done her for just sticking at it. Because, of course, her education up to this point has had loads of money thrown at it and she's not done anything with it. And now she's decided that this is important and she's going to do something with it. And she has. And I just think it's brilliant. And I did feel a bit sorry for her at the beginning of the fact that her nice certificate that she framed anyway, is she puts up on the
yeah,
it's got a typo.
Yeah, it's just like Elmdale Community College to do something like that. Of course, Alexis is getting my simply the best point. Like, here's the thing. I appreciate what David does for Patrick at the end of the episode, but he wouldn't have had to do that if he didn't prolong the reconciliation to begin with.
Exactly.
No, Alexis is doing the most. Like, first of all, the fact that she graduated and then immediately starts her business and immediately puts together a business proposal. And it's not some outlandish idea. It is something that is like achievable and a really solid idea for the town. And on top of that, she makes her own little office nook in her motel room. Like, I know that's like a little thing, but it just is like the amount of care and thoughtfulness that she puts into her work, and she just values herself in this way. And she's already, right, she already did this whole like PR thing for the motel. So she's really like going for what she wants, and she's very passionate about it. And I so respect it, and I love that she doesn't let Moira just get away with stealing her idea. She's like, absolutely not. This is my idea. And now it's a full week, not just a night. Like, now she has so much more on her plate, but she's dealing with it, and she's doing it all while rocking what appears to me to be a bathing suit cover up. But she looks great, so you can't deny that. All right, now we're getting into the controversial stuff, because I personally feel like there are so many people who could be eligible for a disgruntled Pelican point.
Yep.
That I know who I'm picking. So I guess I'll go first. I'll put myself out there. I will go first.
Thank God.
My disgruntled Pelican point is going to Moira. She pissed me off more than any of the other characters. And here is why. She, number one, is so unsupportive of Alexis in the business proposal to begin with. I feel like even if she didn't think the town council would necessarily go for it, I think she should have given Alexis some flowers a little bit more about it. Like, oh my gosh, you already have a business and you already have a business proposal. Like, this is great. She could have done so much more. And then on top of that, she doesn't even bring it to town council. And then on top of that, she takes credit for it and makes it 10 times as much work for Alexis and then is annoyed with Alexis when Alexis isn't like astounded by this. Like every step of the way, she's getting it wrong. Whereas I would personally say people like Johnny and David by the end of the episode have really come around and like righted the wrongs that they did. I feel like Moira really didn't right almost any wrongs that she did. And so I'm giving my disgruntled pelican point for Moira. I just feel like it was not nice what she did. And that's it. Trish, what do you think?
Yeah. I wrote them down, and I had two options for Simply the Best, and it was Alexis and Patrick a close second because of how much he says, like, oh, I'm sorry, I was giving you gifts. I needed to give
and
you
the blue
space.
Shirt. Let's not forget
And the blue shirt. And his
Yep.
dreamy eyes and all that.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
And
The head grab, yeah.
and the head grab, yes. But she insulted me. What can I say? It's Moira.
Yeah, get her. That'll teach her to mess with Scotland.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, don't cancel me. But the fact that she didn't even pick up Alexis's proposal that she worked on, she could have put it in with the rest of the stuff and not even shown it. But she could have like supported Alexis in a way of just taking that piece of paper from her and saying, well, if we have time, I might show this to them, and like give her a little bit. But it's just like she gave her absolutely no hope whatsoever that was going to get anywhere with her. It's like if I knew it was rigged already, I wouldn't have worked so hard on it. It's just such a crushing thing to say. And it's just, Moira gets it for me.
All right, that leaves you, Stuart. Where are you going?
So I did a feigned shock when you said Moira. It's Moira. She was the worst in this episode. I'm sorry. Johnny wasn't even in contention for me. I thought that Johnny was just. I mean, maybe I'm more forgiving because I'm an awful gift giver, but like he gave a gift. Like, I'm sorry, I don't think you can really begrudge someone unless they like buy it for like awful reasons or something like that. But he's trying to be a lovely guy.
Give you like a treadmill or something, and they're like, "You should work out more." Then you 100% get disgruntled pelican point.
Yeah, and like the makeup was Stevie was initially kind of offended, but I think when she come to realize that obviously like he didn't mean any offense by it. He's just terrible at buying gifts and took some bad advice. Like he's still giving a gift, and it's really kind of like a sweet thing. He's the sweetest little guy, but just terrible at giving gifts. So like that wasn't even in contention for me. David was, but I don't even think it compares because he's playing with Patrick a little bit, and it's the dynamic that they have established. And I think that he did so knowing full well that nothing was at risk with them. Like I think possibly he even took the additional gifts and willingly admitted it. And even in the apology, I think that he knows that some comeuppance is coming his way anyway. Like it's almost as if I think he does it for the joke of it a little bit, and to have a dynamic that then Patrick can take something back from him, so that they can do a bit of a mutual exchange of oh, we both did a bad thing and we have to make up for it kind of situation.
Yeah, you're right. It does kind of let Patrick off the hook a little bit in terms of who has done the worst thing. Now David is doing a pretty bad thing to put them more on even playing field.
Yeah, it's not like Patrick is brought up to an even level. It's like David gives him a little bit more, so then they can readjust and kind of. It's like a nice little bit of give and take. And so that is, it's not good, but it's not the worst. Moira, on the other hand, I think absolutely betrays a whole season of development for herself. She's really selfish in this episode, and it really kind of made me sad because she has some banger lines. Like some of the stuff she came out was so petty goggery or something. Like the terms that she comes out with are just so funny. But ultimately, she gives, she doesn't even read Alexis's proposal. She says, "Oh, give me the elevator pitch, but bear in mind I'm getting off at the next floor." Like, come on, Moira. This is your daughter's
Yeah.
first business endeavor after she got a degree in 4 months. Yes, it's in marketing, but 4 months. Like, come on.
Yeah, compare it to Johnny, who hired Alexis at the motel to help. Yes, the motel
Yeah.
does need help. To help with like the PR for the motel. Like, and he's so proud, right? Like you could just see
Hmm.
on his face, he's so proud of
Yeah.
her in that moment. Like when you compare the two, it's really sad because we know how Alexis feels like the forgotten child in Moira's eyes. Like David's always been her favorite, and so
Hmm.
then to really just get like pushed aside by her mom after she's done something that is pretty incredible when you consider the fact that she hadn't even graduated high school before this.
Hmm.
Like she gets no credit and it's really sad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we're all on the same page because I would have had a real problem if someone was like Johnny for giving a briefcase of makeup.
I was tempted just to like wind up the audience and get more
Yeah.
emails in. I was tempted to rage bait. I'm really sorry, but I thought better of it.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, now it's time. We're going to tier rank the episode here. As always, we have hot shit, full bouquet, love that journey for me, you, David, and shit out of luck. This is an interesting one. Given I think we do have a good mix of like funny and even like the lip sync episode or lip sync moment itself is not just funny, but also kind of heartwarming.
Hmm.
Stuart, I'd like to know where you're leaning on where to put this.
I'm thinking high love that journey for me or low full bouquet. And I'm
Wow.
elevating it to I say elevating it to low full bouquet purely for the last scene. Simply the best.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if that's me being a bit too harsh, but I did on my first watching of this, I was about maybe like 5-10 minutes in. Thought I was much further into it than I actually was when I kind of came to this realization. I even thought to myself then, I was like, oh, this one might be a bit of a stinker. It pulled itself back up. It
Whoa.
absolutely improved from it, but it was the first time this season I kind of went, no, I think I might have found a dud. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm not sure if maybe I'm just being a bit too harsh though. Please,
Trish, what do
please
you
correct
think?
me otherwise.
Oh, don't ask me. I don't like the pressure.
All right, I'll give my opinion first, Trish. I'm higher on this episode, and I think because I'll lay it out in the terms that I usually do, where I take each one as like its own storyline, right? The
Hmm.
Stevie and Johnny stuff really works for me because I think it's
Okay.
both extremely funny and also just shows that Johnny is growing when he could say things like, you know what, I am a bad gift giver, like I'm really sorry. And to have Stevie and him have that sort of playfulness, and it involves Alexis, where we get this hysterical story of David's bar mitzvah present of the basketball court,
Okay.
right? Like, I think in having all three of them involved in that storyline really makes it work well for me. The Moira and Alexis stuff, while obviously doesn't make Moira look super great, it's a really great Alexis storyline because we're showing that,
Hmm.
like, no, when she cares about something, she puts her whole heart and effort into it. She couldn't give one F about being a vet administrative assistant, right? She hardly cared. She cared about the people. She cared about like the customers. She didn't care about that job. She cares about this new business that she has started. So for me, that is like, I just like to see Alexis passionate about something. And so I think that's why I really like that storyline. And then the David and Patrick stuff, like obviously I wanted to see them make up. So that makes me happy. It also feels like a very unique storyline in that I don't know how often it is that we get couples fighting and the one person delaying a reconciliation just to get more presents from the other person. Like it's so funny. It's so true to the character of David. And then of course like the lip sync at the end just is like uh puts a lovely little like cherry on top of what I think is a really funny episode that also has with like woven within it these like quieter just heartwarming moments.
Hmm.
I think when you look at the lip syncing scene as like David really putting himself out there, and then also I look at Alexis's growth as like very heartwarming. Obviously, it's not the same as Moira giving her the credit she deserves. But Alexis knowing her own worth to me it just makes me go like, oh my gosh, Alexis has grown so much. So I think that's why I personally just like, I really like this episode. I also really, I'm like a massive Patrick and David shipper. So it probably just goes up even that much more because of it. But I personally was thinking high full bouquet, low hot shit. Like that's where I was coming
Ooh.
into it.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's how much I like this episode.
See, my
I
only. Oh, so you go, Trish.
I really like this episode. I didn't want to like put forward too much of this. I just think it's just such a growth moment for David and Patrick. I also think it's a massive growth moment for Alexis, and it sets up quite a lot going forward because now they've got this event, they've got to plan. So that's going to be something that's in the future episodes as well. So there's a lot of, and the friendship between Stevie and Johnny, although maybe the gift was a bad gift, but the idea and the thought behind it was a good one. And it's like him saying, like, I know how hard you work, and I appreciate that you do that for this place, for yourself. So I think that it has more positives than negatives for me. It's definitely, I think it's a good episode.
You're certainly selling it. I think my kind of only reservation, and I'm not like arguing against it, because I think I'd be like, I think full top end of full bouquet certainly is making more sense to me now based on everything that you've all said. But my only kind of comment is that I struggle to pick out from these three storylines which is the A storyline. Like it seems like a collection of B storylines for me compared to other episodes. And I'm not against that. Like I'd much rather it be a high average across the board than it is when we have like one like stellar storyline and then we have a C tier one that's just kind of like dropping around at the bottom that's kind of just there to fill time. But I it's not a bad thing necessarily. I just
it's more of an ensemble episode, a la like Community or something, less than. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would pick the David and Patrick being like the primary storyline. This episode also was, I don't know. I looked it up and I couldn't figure out which. This was what the wiki said. It was called the OIive Branch, but it's also known as the Gesture. And both of those titles are a reference to the David and Patrick storyline. Not that necessarily means anything. But I understand what you mean about it not really having a primary storyline. We're kind of bouncing between three different stories, which is nice because it does give a lot of characters time to shine.
Yeah. So as a compromise then, go high full bouquet.
I personally think maybe
get
even
told
after
off and not even hot shit? Like, is that
no,
I
don't think it needs to be hot shit. I think people love the lip sync moment, and that's probably why a lot of people would be like immediate hot shit because that's the moment. But I don't think it's as impactful of a moment as the open mic moment is. Like in my opinion, that's the better one.
Yeah.
I would maybe even put it after Rip Moira Rose because I just love Moira being so upset that about like her internet death and that no one cares. It's just so funny. So I don't know what you think, but
that's the thing. You're talking about that, and I'm there giggling to myself because I'm remembering just the outlandish behaviors. I think maybe that is the justifier. I think for me as well in this is that there are a lot of funny moments. There's nothing that really jumps out as being like a memorable, funny moment, except the lip sync at the end, and that's more heartwarming than it is funny.
Yeah.
I've never thought that's a funny moment. I know it was written that it was supposed to be comedic. I didn't think it was comedic at all. I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah. I like this compromise. I do think it belongs in full bouquet. It's just like I think it is a really, like Trish said too, it is a really great step forward for Alexis and kind of setting up this like singles event as something that her and Moira will be working on. Which is another pairing that we don't often get. So that will be really fun to track throughout the rest of the season is watching Alexis and Moira work together when, as you can imagine, a lot of times they're a little bit at odds. So that will be fun. And we did get a very small, but a Stevie and David moment, which every time I get them, I'm just, I gobble them up. I love it so much. They're so funny together. So
yeah, I think the Stevie and Alexis was also something to celebrate as well. Like I love this them them getting seen, it's a real rarity.
Yeah.
Even if it is just Stevie telling Alexis off, well, not even telling her off, but using the printer and being a bit disgruntled about it.
And he got me a tennis bracelet. That's bad. I know.
That should have been a markdown for Alexis. Like, I'm sorry. If anyone gets you a diamond bracelet, I don't care how ugly it is. I don't care if it's not your style. It's still diamonds. That's still spenny.
Bracelets are just ugly, though.
You can't sell a basketball court. You can sell a diamond bracelet.
This is true. Well, that's our episode. Stuart, would you like to know the title for next week's episode?
Can you imagine me saying no? Of course I do. Yeah.
All right. Season 4, episode 10, Baby Sprinkle.
Is Jocelyn ready to pop already?
She was looking fairly pregnant in the Jazz guy last episode.
Ooh.
I mean, not like pregnant. I am certainly not the expert, but I believe most people do like a baby shower and like events and stuff around when they're 8 months pregnant. I think Trish, you would know better than I do. You do baby showers over there?
I didn't have one. It's not really a thing. I think I was singing in a girls' choir whenever I was pregnant with my daughter, and they sort of threw a little thing for me, but it was just like because I wasn't going to see them for a couple of weeks. So it was kind of just as the point where I was about to like not be able to move very well and not be able to go places. So it was kind of like, I just, I don't know how often as baby showers have become much more popular, I think, lately than they were whenever I was.
Because everyone wants that. We're gonna talk about it next week.
Gifts.
Oh God, listen, I'm gonna forewarn everyone. Okay, you have a week to prepare yourself. I'm gonna have very strong feelings on baby showers next week. So like, just prepare yourself. If you thought I went in on hikes, you haven't even seen me get annoyed about things because truly, yes, Stuart.
Can I make a prediction for next week?
Oh, please do. Yes.
They have a baby shower.
Listen, the word baby is talked about, so you know it's like baby related. I can't wait to talk about how much I hate gender reveal parties and how stupid and pointless they are.
Oh, yes.
Beyond gender being a social construct, which we literally all know it is. I'm gonna just
I want
yourself.
confetti candles when it's pink and blue or rainbow.
Truly, like I saw, and it's on my TikTok too. Which truly, why do I seem like the person this content is for? I don't think so. This couple had like, this is a new thing. It's so stupid. Again, I'm already starting. I can't even help myself. They had a cake, and then they had like the mom and dad take like wine glasses, but hold them like upside down, and then they push them into the cake. And then it like the cake is whatever color, right? Like pink for a girl. And they already had one kid. So the kid is supposed to be telling the parents what color it is. I don't know why they can't just look. They have to have the kid tell them. But the kid is like, I don't know, small and doesn't know its colors yet, I guess. And so the kid is just like gold. And they're like, what? And I'm like, this is your fault. You did this.
It's a golden child.
Ridiculous. Anyway, just prepare yourselves, people. If you're a fan of like baby showers and gender reveal parties, just I implore you, you're gonna have to skip because I'm not gonna be able to hold back. Okay, I hate them so much. I've been to too many of them in my lifetime. I have so many cousins, and all of them have children.
I avoided it before, Jess. No. This is the rage bait we have to lean into. I'm going to channel a bit of Brennan Lee Mulligan here. Get in the comments.
Accept it.
Get in the comments and tell us how much you too hate baby showers because there's not a single human being on this earth who's like, I love going to baby showers. Nobody says that. It's an obligation.
Someone must.
Someone loves babies, which also is a question to me. Like, what? Okay. Anyway. That's the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. Trish, thank you so much for joining us, defending your country against Moira's hateful comments. We always appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and having your beautiful money tree in the background, which is just thriving. Look at her. She's gorgeous.
Yeah, a little bit sleepy at the minute for winter, but it'll brighten up soon.
Listen, we all are sleepy at the moment for winter, so relatable content. All right, Stuart, anything else you want to say before we get on out of here?
No, just the usual thing. Like I said it before, get in the comments. I mean, leave feedback. We love to get that. 5-star reviews, Jess will read out
I will.
verbatim. You won't edit a thing out. You can make it say
Not a
anything.
single
It'll be
thing.
wonderful. And of course, if you want to email in any feedback, podcast@talkingshit.com. Emailing in is fantastic, especially when we find out about films that we don't know about that involve this cast.
Love it.
Love that. Love that. But yeah,
Yes.
find me on the social, Stuart Drinks Tea, and all of that stuff. But yeah,
And
don't at me about baby showers. At Jess about that.
Just please at me about baby showers. Speaking of people in this cast being in other things, also, we got our eye on Catherine O'Hara making her little debut over on The Last of Us in season 2, which is coming up. And if you are rewatching, if you're watching for the first time, make sure to go check out Look for the Light, where Stuart and I talk about The Last of Us every single week leading up to season 2, which is so soon. And I'm very, very excited. So yeah, until next time, everyone, warmest regards.
And best wishes.
Tweet us on Facebook or leave us a review and you say, yeah, okay, I think I will.